talking you through our school swimming program alternatives that have just been released. Some of you may have seen these on our toolkit and had a look through those, and we will be talking you through them in more detail today. So just a little bit of housekeeping to start us off. Again, please keep your microphones muted and keep your cameras switched off. If you do have any questions at any time throughout the presentation, please don't hesitate to pop them in our chat. We will get to those at the end of the presentation, but make sure you pop them in there while they're still fresh in your mind. You can do that by clicking the little chat box in that toolbar in the middle of your screen and entering in your comments into that chat bar there. As I said, this webinar will be recorded and it will be made available on our toolkit as well at a later date. So if you think that other people could benefit from watching this too, you can direct them to that recording and they'll be able to see the full webinar from us today. First of all, we would like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Okay, so I'd like to introduce our presenters today. We have a number of us presenting the multiple different alternatives in our menu. I'd like to welcome Liz White, who joins us from the Department of Education and Training. We also have Liz Tazzoni from Lifesaving Victoria, Michelle Ling, Mel Laird, Trudy McAuliffe, and myself, Caitlin Greenhill. So we will be guiding you through the different alternatives in the menu, and we hope you get to learn a thing or two about the different options that you can present to your schools as well this year. So I'd like to begin by introducing Liz White, who will be discussing swimming in schools.
Thanks, Caitlin. It's great to be here and talking with so many people from the aquatic industry, so thank you for having me on the webinar. Just before I start, I'd like to let everybody know that I'll be staying on the webinar until the Q&A at the end, and also my contact details will be provided at the end of the webinar. To start with, I thought it would be a good idea to provide you with a little bit of background to give you the context of swimming and water safety within the Department of Education and Training. Swimming and water safety education became part of the Victorian Curriculum in 2017 as part of the health and physical education aspect of the curriculum. Since then, the Victorian Government has committed over $35 million to this aspect of the curriculum, and this funding is directed in a number of ways. Firstly, each Victorian Government primary and special school, as well as each Catholic primary school, is provided with funds for the delivery of swimming and water safety programs. Secondly, the Department of Education and Training has contracted Lifesaving Victoria to develop resources and training to ensure best practice is understood and achieved by the education sector and the aquatic industry. And this is culminated in the LSB toolkit, which many of you will be acutely aware of. Thirdly, my role, the statewide swimming coordinator role, was established to liaise with stakeholders across Victoria and oversee the program to ensure objectives and outcomes are delivered on. If you could move to the next slide, Caitlin, that would be terrific. So these objectives are noted here. So increased delivery on the Victorian Water Safety Certificate program by schools and aquatics providers, improved data collection by schools and aquatics providers on the competencies and participation of students. We wanted all schools to deliver high quality, cost-effective swimming and water safety programs, and for schools to have a clear understanding, as well as providers, on the support and resources that are available within the LSB toolkit. We're also wanting to see an increase in the number of Year 6 students achieving the VWSC across the schools that are provided with funding. So that's the Victorian Government primary schools, the special schools and the Catholic primary schools. Moving on to the outcomes. The outcomes of this whole program is for the Victorian Curriculum targets. The Victorian Curriculum targets Victorian young people with the aim of achieving the following outcomes. So we're looking to increase the water safety and swimming competencies, increase physical activity, improve health outcomes, and reduce the risk of drowning. In 2020, with bushfires at the beginning of the year and COVID-19 appearing soon after, we've seen a substantial number of schools required to cancel their swimming and water safety programs as a result of students going into remote learning, restrictions on schools to undertake excursions as a result of the remote learning and the stage 3 restrictions applied, swimming facilities being closed as a result of the stage 3 restrictions, and even with the lifting of stage 3 restrictions not being able to reopen viably as a result of the limitations that have been applied to aquatic facilities. And we're acutely aware that with the very full calendars of schools and aquatic facilities, as well as with the reapplication of stage 3 restrictions across metropolitan Melbourne and Mitchell Shire, that it's not just a simple matter of rescheduling programs. And the closer we get to the end of the year, the more problematic it becomes to find ways to achieve the Victorian curriculum requirements and meet them. So we've been working with LSB to develop the 2020 alternatives menu as well as the 2020 substitute swim program. And we'll be communicating this work to all schools next week via the monthly newsletter that goes out to all teachers. So what I'll do now is I'll hand over to Liz Tassoni, who will go through the 2020 alternatives menu and the substitute swim program with you in far greater detail. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks for coming along today. So welcome. There's a lot of familiar faces from our FAR series. So thanks for joining us again. You know who you are, who have supported us the whole way. Those of you that are new, there'll probably be some more sessions like these throughout lockdown, so-called 2.0. So just to reiterate that the outcomes for what we want to achieve out of swimming in school is really about increasing water safety and swimming competencies, the increased physical activities and health outcomes, and reduce risk of rate of drowning. And I have a homeschooling child here. So 1 second. Sorry guys, that's my reality now. So hopefully you all had a little chuckle at that. Our job at LSV is to support the swim school industry and to support schools on how to achieve these outcomes. So if there's anything you want to chat to us about, any ideas, all our contact details are at the end. We're always open to any feedback. So what we're going to take you through today is some options on how schools can still meet the swimming and water safety curriculum objectives that are built throughout the curriculum. It's split into practical and wet alternatives and dry alternatives. We know so far in term 1 and term 2, we've had approximately 50,000 students miss out on school swimming and had their school swimming program cancelled. We're currently tracking that information for term 3, but we expect particularly across Metro Melbourne and Mitchell Shire, and currently we understand in regional areas it's hard, although schools can do excursions, it is hard for them to access pools due to capacity limits at the moment. We're tracking what those term 3 cancellations are going to look like, but we expect this number to significantly rise by a couple of tens of thousands. So we know that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the back end of this year from a school's perspective, industry perspective. We're definitely working on a contingency plan and looking at what it looks beyond the end of the year. So keep posted. I don't have all the answers here for you today. Hopefully I've got some of them and we'll have more information come out about this. As I mentioned before, in all these scenarios we're going through, you're going to have to think locally if you're looking at it from a Metro Melbourne and Mitchell Shire or from a regional perspective, and know that, you know, the current restrictions in place are exactly that, they're the current restrictions, and they could change, as we know, at any time, both in a good way or a tightening way, or more hubs or whatever. So please ensure that you stay on DHH website, and Sport and Rec Victoria have additional information as well. So in terms of the options that we have, we've spoken about wet alternatives. So we're going through them first, and we're going through dry alternatives. In the corner of each of the page, you'll see the delivery method. So there's a little triangle in the top corner, and it's either going to be split into swim schools. That means that you guys as the industry are the deliverer of these programs. That it's an add-on program to you may be delivering. So you may get a school ring you and say, we want a 10-day program, but you only have capacity for a 5-day program in your actual pool. What's something that you can add on, either a theory program or an open water program before or after that pool program, so that you can help meet the school's requirements. School delivery, so some of them are school delivery options. It's a great way to get communications out to your schools while they're not able to deliver programs. It's also a great relationship builder. So although they're not physically coming into your centre, you're able to say, hey, we're staying in contact. Here's some great activities you can do in the classroom, or they can do in their PE classrooms, or they can do from home as well for those that are homeschooling. If you want, although we'll be going through those programs today, if you literally want us to, put out some extracts so that you can just copy and paste them into emails and send them out as you're communicating schools, we can do that for you. So just let us know. And the third triangle there you can see is school delivery. So it's in school, and either the school can deliver the programs, or you as a swim school can go out and deliver them within the school, as long as obviously incursions are allowed. So we need to keep an eye on the incursion and excursions updates as well. But you can go in there and do a fee for service delivery model. All the information is on our website for you to pick up and take into a school setting. So if we just go to the next slide, Caitlin. So we're going to start with the practical or the wet programs. As Caitlin said, if you've got any questions throughout, type them in. Some of these you would have seen before, but some of them are new ones. So I might throw over to Michelle.
Thanks, Liz. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go through the first two alternatives for swim schools delivery. So the first alternative is to reschedule the swimming program to a later date in the year, which would be ideal because we want more kids in the pool, because kids in the pool or kids in water is the best way for them to learn swimming. But I do know that term 4 is already chock-a-block and jam-packed with other programs. So this would involve us going through your current calendar, identifying any spaces that you have available, highlighting them, and also considering things like timing. Can you run your programs before school or late afternoon? So could parents be dropping kids at the pool before school time and then catching the bus to school to start their school day? Could the school bus be bringing kids to the pool in the afternoon with parents picking up from the pool, so that you can get a little bit more time in your day? You could consider running a mix of dry programs and wet programs. So, if you've got one school booked in for a 5-day program and they've had a class miss out in term 2, could they share that pool space? So, for 2 days, one group is doing dry programming while the other class is doing wet, and then they rotate. So then that class is doing dry programming for the end, and the first class is doing wet programming for the rest of the program. We're going to go through some more dry programming options later. And do you have an outdoor pool area that you could use? Could you open that pool earlier? So often it's not until December that the outdoor pool's open. Could we open that earlier to do a program? Thanks, Caitlin. Second alternative would be to host a swimming carnival. So again, depending on what pool space you have available, it could be again using your outdoor pools, but you could put out an expression of interest to your swim schools that have cancelled, and create a registration list. This could be a fun day or a carnival. You could be creating stations using your wet and dry areas inside and outside, your outdoor pool if you have one. You could also be assessing for your Vic Water Safety certificates throughout the stations on the day. But I think the key for these two is to contact the schools before they contact you. So get on the front foot and contact your schools and offer the alternatives if you have space available. Thank you, Caitlin.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Melissa and I manage the education program delivery at Lifesaving Victoria. So I'm just going to chat a bit about the open water learning experience program that we have, and then what opportunities there are for the aquatic industry. So to give you a bit of a background, our program, which is shortened, makes it easier to say, has been around for over 20 years now, which is a huge amount of time. Over that time, particularly in the last 5 years, we've really been able to develop a program which is evidence-based. So we work really closely with the risk and research department within the organisation to ensure that the activities that we are delivering, along with the regions that we're going to, aligns with the most current drowning research and statistics. The program itself, there's plenty of options available for schools, and that can be from a full day program to a half-day program, as well as carnivals. And some of the activities includes, water safety chat, an everyday lifesaver activity where they learn about how they can help somebody, rescue strategies and bodyboards and nipper boards and beach flags. So there's lots of different activities within the program itself, and it can be delivered in a range of environments. So the program can be delivered at the beach, which is probably the most obvious one, but we also deliver the program in inland waterways, lakes and pools even. Over the years, we've been able to increase the number of participants wanting to take part in this program from schools. And so we sit around the 19,000 participants per year mark, with last year being cut a bit short just because we had to stop delivering the program towards the end of term 1 and into term 2. The program feedback and the evaluation of the program has been really positive, and I guess the opportunity moving forward for us is because not only is it an add-on that we can deliver, but we would love to be able to partner with the local aquatic area to be able to deliver this program themselves. So almost like a license, so that we can work together. And like it was said at the start of the presentation, it could be because your facility can only deliver a 5-day program, but can deliver a 1-day program that's in a different environment, which may be an option. And there's real opportunity there to increase the number of students that you can see face to face, and that obviously includes revenue income as well. But yeah, there's not too much more to say other than there's lots of information on the website, and feel free to put your questions in the chat, and our contact details will be there. So if you have any questions or would like any more information, then just let us know. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thanks, Mel. So back to me again. I suppose we're going through a lot of information now, but just remember that our details are at the end, and LSV, we've got team that are committed to answer any calls that the industry has, or swim schools or schools have over this period. So we're there to support. If it doesn't all soak in now, jump on the toolkit or jump on our website and it will soak in soon. Okay, so the next one I'm talking about is the 2020 Substitute Swim Program. So this is a new program, and it's an option that's been developed for schools that have had to cancel their programs and they can't rebook in. So we know that term 4 is traditionally the busiest term. They've looked at they've looked through the menu options, but they don't have capacity to do it. How can we still get these children to meet the curriculum requirements? So utilising their existing swimming in schools funding that they get through the student resource package, schools can choose an improved swim school. So swim schools have to register for this, and kids can actually do their swimming in your mainstream after school Learn to Swim program. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of questions about this one. the two really big concepts to it is, one, kids are meeting their curriculum needs, but number two is loss of income that you may have got through cancelled swim programs. Hopefully the industry will be able to regain some of that income through students utilising lessons after school. So how it's going to work is that we're going to put a link in our chat bar soon if we haven't already, and we've set up a page on our toolkit that is dedicated to this program. Basically, you've got to register your interest online, and then there's a terms and conditions form that you need to go through, fill out and send back, or it's online, sorry, fill out online and do that. When schools come to deciding what program they want to do, they'll go through the menu option. If this is one they want to look at, they'll jump on our toolkit and there'll be a list of registered swim schools. So those schools that have registered to be part of this program, and it's opt-in. If you don't register, you're not eligible for this. So they look up and they can see what swim schools are closest to them that they can utilise. The school then provides a student list to the swim school on which students have approval for swimming to occur. So, for example, at a school, only grade 3 program might have got cancelled in term 2, but they've got their grade 6s in term 4. So they're only going to send you the grade 3 list. So only the ones that have cancelled during the period. So they send that list so that when the students come to you, you know that if they're approved or not, and they pay 50% of deposit upon enrolment. We have standardised forms, so there's standardised enrolment forms, there's standardised parent assessment forms, and from those parent assessment forms, you're going to have to equate it to what your equivalent swim level is and book them in according to that. Now, we know that when you have a child in your lesson for the first time, you always assess them anyway. So if they are in the wrong level or the parent assessment's been a little bit off, then you've still got time to rectify them into the right level. So move them across. So the swim school, we're up to the yellow circle now. So the swim school provides the lessons, assesses the students and reports back to the school. Part of signing up as an approved swim school is you must meet the requirement to send reporting back to the school, which is part of the curriculum requirements that we need. And another part of it is if they have achieved the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, then you need to log on and issue that as well. So reporting back to school is essential, and by signing the terms and conditions, you're committed to that. And then after they receive the report, so you will pay the remaining 50% of the total number. So students will receive one 30-minute lesson, swimming per week, for a maximum of 8 weeks. Lessons will be run outside of school hours, and at the moment the expiry date on them is the 31st of December. We are looking at a contingency plan for this one in particular because we know, as I said earlier, that term 4 is going to be busy. We don't know where restrictions will be at, so we don't even know what's possible. So at the moment, this is our plan. We're working on a contingency plan that we're putting forward to the department, and then we will communicate with you. We'll probably have more webinars as soon as we know more. Really important to note that the schools haven't been communicated about the menu and this option in particular as yet. They are getting sent out communications next week, at the tail end of next week, from DET directly. We really advocated for the industry to know earlier so that you can start preparing, you can start jumping on the toolkit, you can start registering, get all your information in line so that when you do get contacted by your schools, that you have all the answers that you need for them. So please keep that in mind, that don't go racing out to your schools. It's better that they hear it from the department so that they're really clear on what their requirements are. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about this one in particular. A lot of them are answered in the terms and conditions, but we can come back to that shortly. So we might move on to our dry swimming programs, and in Q&A we can talk about this one a lot more.
Thank you for that, Liz. So our first alternative for our dry swimming options is an add-on, so something that you could deliver at your swim school, but also something that can be delivered in schools as well. So this alternative is for schools to be able to book a knowledge-based program. So this is something that focuses really heavily on the water safety side of things. And this first one that I'm going to talk to you about is our water safety tech time program. So as the name suggests, it does involve a lot of different technology. We have robotic balls, also known as sphero balls, green screen, VR or virtual reality, and even the opportunity to show a drone demonstration if there is space and time available. So this is a rotation-based program, so the students will get to experience all of the different pieces of technology to develop their understanding of water safety. So this is a great one to actually be able to meet the knowledge component of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So a good dry option to be able to deliver that knowledge side so that you can make the most of the students' time in the water for them to be able to get that water-based experience and practice those competencies on the certificate and also meet those curriculum requirements as well. So this is a really fantastic one that you can also possibly partner up with us to be able to deliver at your own swim school. So please do get in contact with us if that's something that you'd be interested in, and we can discuss that with you. It is something that is targeted towards grades 3 to 6 students with the technology involved and with the curriculum outcomes involved as well. It's up to those middle and senior primary age students. And it's a really fantastic one. So it's something that schools would find really appealing, is that it does have those cross-curricular activities. So not only are schools covering their water safety side, so the health and physical education side of the curriculum, but they're also connecting with digital technologies and other areas of the curriculum. So that's something that might be appealing to schools if you did want to deliver this at your swim school. It's a really great engaging program, and please do get in contact with us if you're interested in finding anything more about this.
Hello everyone again. I know we keep chopping and changing presenters, but along with the Open Water Learning Experience program, we also look after what we call our Sink or Swim program, which is our classroom program. It was probably taken a bit of time. I think it would have been about 7 or 8 years now since we've moved from what we used to call a meter lifeguard to sink or swim. And the reason was that was because of the increase at that time of inland waterway drowning. So we had this opportunity to put together, you know, being safe around the beach, but also inland waterways. And as a result, we now basically cover every aquatic environment in this program. And again, work really closely with our risk and research department too. So the program is a 45 to 60 minute in-classroom program where we have a lifesaver come out and, you know, do some different activities with the students or the participants in and around all aquatic environments. So there are a couple of delivery options with this one. So at the moment, we're doing this online as well. And so we've been doing that through virtually for a little while, but now specifically made an option for schools to be able to do this online, but obviously face-to-face as well. And there's also an opportunity for aquatic facilities and the aquatic industry to partner with this particular program as well. So we usually see for this one around 20,000. I think 22,000 was the year before, and then this year a little bit less because again we had to stop halfway through. So again, really great feedback on this program in terms of you know, coming out to the school and delivering a 1 hour session or 45 to 1 hour session to all age groups. So we go to kinders right through to secondary schools as well. And there's a lot of supporting resources that goes along with this particular program as well. But again, if there's any questions or you would like any more information, then feel free to pop something in the chat or give us a call, and we're more than happy to help and work through all of these alternative options with you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Trudy. So this morning I'm going to take you through alternative 2, which is deliver a knowledge-based program. So with this one here, I'm going to highlight a couple of options that sit under this for you. Firstly, we've got the virtual reality, and this can easily be accessed by a classroom teacher. So you can help and support them in doing this, and they can deliver the water safety theory programs that assist with that. So this can be done using either a smart board or individual headsets which showcase the VR videos or Google Expeditions. There are a number of supporting resources that you can actually use, and these can be anywhere from quizzes, projects, or technology-based activities. All of these activities can be accessed via the LSV Swimming and Water Safety Toolkit, which is online, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. I'm hoping that most of you have heard the new suite of resources that LSV have put together, being the Water Safety at Home series. Now, these are a combination of swimming and water safety sessions, life-saving skills, CPR and first aid lessons, and videos which can assist you in assisting a classroom teacher deliver a tailor-based program based on the student's age and knowledge. These can be delivered in a virtual classroom and also can be a practical program for them. With all of these as well have supporting resources. These videos range from 10 minutes through to 45-minute sessions. I'll hand back over to you, Mel.
Thanks, Trudy. It's actually back to me this time. So for our third alternative option, we do have the option to deliver practical dry programs. So this is something that the swim schools can communicate to schools for the schools to deliver in their gymnasium, although you do have the option of discussing this with schools and possibly heading into the school to implement something similar in the school space itself. But as Liz has mentioned before, depending on restrictions and what we are able to do at the time. So we do have a number of lesson plans available on our toolkit, and these do connect to the health and physical education side of the curriculum. So this is what we're aiming to do, is aiming to allow students to meet those curriculum requirements. So allowing them to experience different activities that will enable them to meet the health and physical education side of the curriculum. So these lesson plans are really fantastic. They do include different activities such as dry rescues, relays, and different scenario activities. So they utilise typical sports equipment that is found in the school itself. So that's why it's so beneficial to head into the school or communicate this to the schools themselves for them to be able to deliver this program. It's a really beneficial way if you have got limited time for the students to be in the water learning and experiencing their swimming lessons, that the schools can deliver this either before or even during the swimming program to allow the students to develop their water safety knowledge. So a really great opportunity for you guys to discuss this with your schools and see how you can manoeuvre and manage the different timings for the schools to be able to deliver some sides of the water safety knowledge components, and then you guys can really utilise that time in the pool to teach those water-based competencies as well. We do have some instructional videos on the toolkit for these different activities. So they are things that can help you guys out to see what different activities you might be able to develop as well, and even to pass on to the schools for them to be able to deliver these there. And it does connect to the knowledge component of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So a great way to be able to deliver that water safety side on dry land before the students come to the pool, and they can then develop those wet-based competencies at your swim school. And I will pass this on to the next presenter.
So it is back to me. I'm going to share with you another one of the dry alternatives. So this is planning a virtual swimming program. And this is an opportunity for you, again, to be able to work with your local schools to either assist them in coming up with a range of options that suit them best, or for you to partner with a local community group and deliver something to the schools. So basically, the best way to go about it is to link in with your schools, identify what their needs are, and it might be an opportunity for them to achieve multi-learning outcomes. With here, you can connect and use any of the resources above and tailor the program to deliver what their needs are. Some ideas for you to help link in with them are working with their local community. So being the swimming lesson provider, you might deliver a online virtual program where they're meeting you, and you might be doing some instruction in the classroom, getting them active, or you might be just passing on some vital water safety knowledge and advice. You may also link in with a rowing or boating club that's in your area, a surf lesson provider, or a local waterway manager. Some ideas for connecting with someone abroad. So looking outside of your local area, maybe, so if you live in an inland water, it might be linking in with a life-saving club, or if you live in Metro Melbourne, then the opportunity might be to link in with a farmer or a water skiing club from regional Victoria. The options for delivery for this one can be via Teams like we're doing now, Zoom, or even asking them to put together a video presentation. Most organisations are pretty prepared to deliver sessions online now.
Thanks, Trudy. So that's the end of our menu options. It's probably safe to say that, you know, this might not be the end of it. In this environment, we need to be flexible, we need to be nimble, we need to be able to meet the needs and the requirements. We don't know how long we're going to be in this situation for. Of these programs, most, if not all of them, you can actually deliver. So some of them I know you're probably looking at and say they're traditionally LSV delivered programs, but we're opening that up. We want to build the capacity of the industry. So look on the toolkit, either all the resources are there and free for you to adapt or modify or just print off and deliver, or those ones that you do need to contact from a partnering perspective because training's involved and so forth, email the details that will come through to next. Really good time. We know that JobKeeper's been extended, so if you do want to utilise your staff and some of their JobKeeper time, well, then why not provide them additional training that you can do to be able to deliver these programs. We're just going to go through Q&A now. Just keep in mind that all the presenters, including Liz from DET, are online. So please type them in the chat bar, or if you want to unmute your microphone and ask a question, just if there's multiple people coming in at once, we might just have to control that. So feel free to type in. Caitlin, I'll let you or Michelle monitor what's happening through the meeting chat if there's any to ask.
Thanks, Liz. I might just go through a couple of questions that we had earlier on. Some of them have been answered through the chat, but it would be great for everybody to hear them if they have the same or similar questions to ask as well. So the first one, I might ask Mel to answer this one. Do you have, for the OWLE program, do you have a list of open water venues that the program can be delivered at?
Yes, so I did answer that question in the chat, but I've also put a link in there, a recent document we've created. It's an infographic on the history of OWLE over the 20 years, including a 5-year snapshot. And within that document, you'll find 2 maps. One of them is of regional Victoria and the other one of metropolitan Melbourne, which shows where we actually visit across the state in terms of delivery of that program. So you can see it's quite broad. But if anybody wants an actual specific list of year-by-year venues, then I'm more than happy to share that. Just send me an email and we can go from there.
Fantastic, thanks Mel. And we also had a question while we're on the topic of OWLE. How do you contact us to become a teacher for this program? As this person, Deb, I believe it was, has an inland open water certificate and they're looking to teach more in open water. I'm not sure if Mel, you got that question there. So I think, oh, here we go. Here's Mel to answer that question.
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Caitlin? I missed it. Sorry.
I sure can. So Deb was just wondering how she can get in contact with us to become a teacher for this open water learning experience program. She has her inland open water certificate and she's looking to teach more in open water.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great to hear. And so I think I put in the chat a response to that one as well, but if you just send me through an email, that's probably the best way in terms of communication for me, and more than happy to be called as well to have a chat. But I can always forward through the information that we have in terms of recruitment for our own program. But if it's something you're looking at to deliver, you know, as part of your own facility as well, that we can also have that conversation as well. So there's sort of two parts to it. There can be the delivery from our perspective and becoming an instructor with us, or there can be obviously the partnership that we have with the facility as well. So absolutely send through that to me, and more than happy to share. And I know that tomorrow we're putting out on our circulars an EOI, and we're leaving it at that for now in terms of staff for term 4 and term 1, so recruitment. But at least we can get an indication of whether or not we'll be able, and the staff that we'll have available to be able to deliver if we can.
Fantastic, thanks Mel. We do have a couple of questions in regards to the terms and conditions for the substitute swim program provider. Please do hang tight, they are arriving soon and they will be sent to the email address that you registered under. There was a question about what happens if students miss lessons. Do you still charge for the 8 weeks? All of that is outlined in the terms and conditions there as well. So please hang tight and those questions will be answered. I might pass on to Michelle now. If you, Michelle, have seen any further questions in the chat, and you can ask the team, and I will continue to read through the chat as well to see if we have any new questions. Michelle, if you could jump on and take it away.
Thanks, Caitlin. The first question might also be for you. Where will this webinar be saved? I'm assuming on our toolkit under the link above.
Yes, that is correct. So we will save it on the toolkit under the tab that has all the information about the new alternatives menu. So I believe that link has been put in the chat. It might take a few days for it to go up, depending on how the internet is working at the time, but do stay tuned and it will be on that same website that was shared previously, and that is exactly where it will be found with all the other information about the alternatives menu.
Thanks, Caitlin. I've got another question here from Belinda, and I think this will be for Liz White, regarding whether we have any information if excursions will be allowed in term 4 for schools.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, Belinda. It's Liz White from the Department of Education and Training. We are following the advice of the Chief Health Officer, as are all organisations. So we cannot anticipate whether excursions will be allowed in term 4. As you know, the restrictions, we're working under a 2-tiered restriction system at the moment, with regional schools permitted to undertake excursions, which means they can go to swimming classes with an external provider, whereas the Metropolitan Melbourne and Mitchell Shire areas cannot undertake excursions because remote learning has been re-implemented. We don't know at this stage. That is being applied until 16th of August, but that date will be reconsidered once we have a better understanding of the extent of the COVID-19 implications at the moment.
Thanks, Liz. And I think that covers all the questions in our chat. If anybody else has another question that we have missed, feel free to unmute your mic and ask, or pop it in the chat again now. The main questions are covering partnering with LSV to run Swim and Survive, or OWLE programs. And I think Mel's contact details will be popped up in the screen soon, so you're welcome to email the education team for further information for that. So I'll pass back to you, Liz.
Thank you. So did anyone want to unmute themselves to ask a question? jump in or forever hold your peace. All right, so if you haven't had a chance to ask a question or prefer more one-on-one, all the contact details are up on your screen now. So please contact us and we're happy to work with you on an individual basis. We've also got the Department of Education and Training's contact details there as well. So if you do need to send something to them, please feel free. And then if you're interested in becoming a delivery partner, Mel, what's the best email address for people to contact for that? Mel, are you still there?
I am. I was talking on mute. What I'll do is I will put my email address in the chat again. And if anybody wants to get any more information or have a chat, then yeah, get in contact and then we can go from there. So I'll do that now.
Great. Thanks, Mel. And I'll leave it to Caitlin to close off.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. If you do have any further questions, as we said, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. Our contact details are on the screen there, as are DET. So we've got the schoolswimming@education.vic.gov.au email address there for anything in relation to the department type questions. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and a big thank you to our presenters. Thank you very much to Liz White for joining us this morning from the Department of Education and Training, and a big thank you to our fellow LSV presenters as well. We hope you guys got a lot out of today. Hopefully, I'm sure that you've got lots of questions that will pop up, and you've probably got all this information floating through your head about all these new alternatives. Please jump onto our toolkit that has the full outline of these alternatives that we went through today, and you'll be able to read through at your own pace and understand more about what is involved. And you can also register for our substitute swim program providers as well there too. Again, finally, thank you very much. Stay safe, everyone, and stay connected. I think that's the most important thing to be doing during this time. We will hopefully be continuing some more webinars in the future targeted to you guys also. So stay tuned. We're always here to help out. And in order to leave this webinar, please do click the red hang up button and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.